What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. 90 slashers are back, but whether they are better than ever is something that's still to be determined. However, we're going to be talking about urban legend in this video here today. As you can see by the thumbnail, the title, the news, if you've been on social media, if you've been waiting for this video to go live, urban legend is finally back. And this is the latest attempt to bring it back after the last one fell through the cracks during the pandemic. But it says here from the Hollywood Reporter, urban legend reboot is in the works from Gary Doberman and Neil Moritz. Says Screen Gems is also behind the new take of the original 1998 horror movie, which featured a cast that included Jared Leto and Joshua Jackson. Says Screen Gems' 1990 slasher movie Urban Legend is getting a modern era reboot. The Sony genre division is in early development on a new version of the 1998 feature, hiring Shamar Wakefield to pen the script. Gary Doberman, whose video game adaptation Until Dawn opens Friday, will produce via his coin-operated banner. Neil Moritz, who was one of the producers of the original, is in negotiations to produce as well. The original Legend, directed by Jamie Blanks and written by Sylvia Horta, was a horror movie set in a New England university that featured a killer whose kills were inspired by popular urban legends of the period, such as death by pop rocks and soft drinks, or being pursued in a car by a gang for flashing it a reminder to turn on their headlights. The movie featured a strong cast of rising names of the late 90s, including Jared Leto, Joshua Jackson, Alicia Witt, who many of you have already been saying you want to see Alicia Witt back, Michael Rosenbaum, Rebecca Gayheart, and Tara Reid. It was a moneymaker at the time, even if it didn't compare to favorably other slashers of the era, particularly Scream and the studio's own I Know What You Did Last Summer. 2 sequels followed. While plot details are unknown, sources say the story aims to be an examination of what an urban legend looks like in a post-digital world. Now, that last bit about the plot details sounds very in line with what we know to be true during their last efforts to get this up and going. If you recall, to bring up this article from Collider, in 2020, they had exclusively revealed that Urban Legend was on the move over at Screen Gems, with Colin Minahan directing, a cast that was expected to include Sydney Chandler and Catherine McNamara. The new movie was said to see college student characters navigating a series of bizarre deaths that resemble urban legends linked to the darkest corners of social media. Unfortunately, no subsequent reports followed, and that was the last we had heard of this new urban legend movie. Now, they caught up with McNamara at one point about that project we are no longer getting, and this is what they had to say about the project that, again, never will be. They called it a sort of new retelling of it, was what they could say from the script. Colin Minahan was a director of that. He's just a brilliant mind who has gotten to be a good friend. I would love for that to happen. That cast was going to be fantastic. A lot of friends were in that cast. So I'm thinking, are they just taking what was to be and retooling it with a new writer, and we're finally going to be getting what we were supposed to get back in 2020 or whenever that film would have gotten shot? Will they bring back some of the older cast that they wanted to have involved? If they're free, I wouldn't be surprised. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to bring back any of those stars, because that would be a dead giveaway that you're just using the same story you intended to use. Which, would that be the worst thing? We never really got the full context of that story, but it seems like, again, based off of what briefly is highlighted in the Hollywood Reporter updated article from today, it seems like it's very in line with what was always going to be the case on how you would tackle a modern urban legend reboot, and that's by exploring the digital age, social media, and the urban legends that stalk the internet, or that are very popular on the internet, whether that be Slenderman or something else. Whatever these urban legends are going to be tied still to some sort of heartbreak, just like what we got in the original film. And, you know, you could have urban legends centered around the discussion of OnlyFans or influencer culture, parasocial relationships with celebrities, and those urban legends. Whatever legends are out there that I do not know of, that is what they could tackle, obviously. But I'm just making a bold prediction that there's going to be some sort of heartbreak still associated with it, as a callback to Brenda, who was played wonderfully by Rebecca Gayheart. And you could argue she was absolutely right in her actions and her motivations, even though, of course, on a morally level-headed ground, I could still say Brenda is wrong, but you can understand where she's coming from in terms of getting to understand and respect the villain's motivations. I get exactly where she's coming from. I don't think they need to bring back any of the original stars. That's just me. I'm going to make that bold statement. I don't think they need to bring back any of the original stars. If there's anyone that they absolutely had to bring back that I wouldn't mind, because it feels like a natural thing to do, especially if it's at the same college, bring back Reese. Loretta Devine, a phenomenal actress. Love all of her work that I see her in. I wouldn't mind seeing Reese again. But Alicia Witt, Brenda, Jared Leto's character, what was his name? Paul. Let those characters die. Let them stay gone. And I would imagine this is not going to be a legacy sequel. I don't think this is going to be a legacy sequel. The other project that was to be didn't sound like it was going to be a legacy sequel. If I end up being wrong about it, then I'm just wrong about it. I just don't see them doing it. I feel like this would even be a worse type of movie to do a legacy sequel on. Just take the concept and make it modern for today's audiences. It's one of those films where, again, I myself, being a part of the fan base of it, still have to be able to take myself out of fandom, take myself out of that bubble, and make a statement of reality. Urban Legend, even though it is known by a good chunk of people, if you find those right crowds, the majority of individuals, if you talk to them, I'm certain they don't know anything about Urban Legend. If you talk to most people, Urban Legend is not on the level of a Scream. It's not on the level of Halloween. It's not on the level of Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just not talked about as much. Hell, I would even argue that I Know What You Did Last Summer is talked about more than Urban Legend. So if they go down the route of a legacy sequel, that does raise a question to me. One, how many people of the general public would actually be interested in it? Two, would you go down the path of the same formula of utilizing old or using a new group of teens while ushering them in, but still using the old faces from the past for nostalgia to reel in older fans? Or do you go down the path that older fans argue they should be doing with legacy sequels, because some people think they don't get these legacy sequels right, like Top Gun Maverick seemingly did? Tell us a story with the older stars still as the lead, and let that be what the general public consumes. Obviously, the business practice that's best would be telling a new story still connected to the past film with new leads. But a good chunk of people who think they are the majority also believe that that's the wrong way they've been doing these legacy sequels, which is why I don't think they're going to do a legacy sequel. I think they're just going to do a completely new retelling. It has nothing to do with Brenda. It has nothing to do with Paul. It has nothing to do with anything we saw in that 98 film that many of us hold so dear to our heart. One of the very first gateway horror films for many of us. One of the very first horror films I remember seeing. I watched it countless times because I thought it was that good. I don't think they're going to connect it to that film. It's going to be its own thing. It's going to be something for modern audience to consume without having to worry about any sort of pressure of going and watching that original film. They're going to do that. It's not going to be a lot to produce. It's a horror film. They're going to get away with doing that too. They don't have to rely on the legacy characters. It's not that big of a known IP like your Star Wars or like your Scream, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. They're just going to do a completely new take on it while exploring the digital age, and that is the appropriate steps they should be taking. If they bring legacy characters back, like I always say, just use them right, give them a purpose, make their involvement more than just, oh, a familiar face, nice to see you. Oh, they're dead, they didn't contribute anything worthwhile, or they lived and they didn't contribute anything worthwhile. But are you guys looking forward to this reimagining, reboot, whatever it ends up being? Let me know down below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. In the description, I'll have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course. Let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.